Joe, evening. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Pablo, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? How's things, Joe? How's things, Pablo? Harry, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Mike, good day as well. How you doing, brother? How you been? How's it going, Miles? Zach, is going great. How's it going for you, brother? Evening, Miles and CMF, good to see you as well. Jason, how you doing? How you been? How's things? Harris, evening, Miles, good to see you as well. How you doing, Harris? How you been? Hi, Miles and CMF. Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles. How are you? Good to see you again. Good to see you as well, Autistic. How you doing? How you been? Hello, Miles and CMF. Orphan, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hey, brother Miles and CMF. Minus 33 degrees here in California. Minus or 33 in general? Hi, Miles and CMF. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Miles, is 100,000 XDC a good amount? Yes, it's a great amount to have in your portfolio. Being great but busy. Sorry, love that December pump. Definitely. The bigger pump is coming still. What's up, Miles? What's up, CMF? Kerry, good to see you. How you doing? How you been, brother? Good evening, Miles and CMF. How you doing? I'm doing great. Callie, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles. Paul, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Okay. Mikhail, unfortunately, I can't translate your comment to English. If possible, if you could write in English. Hi, Miles of CMF. George, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? How you doing, George? So, let's do a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about in tonight's episode. But actually, before we do that, let me do the intro first. So, if you're watching this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF Live. The CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. My name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles, and I'm the host of this live. And on this live, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space. And also, we do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And the disclaimer of this live, as always, is no financial advice, no political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So if you're watching for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're regular, let's go CMF. And just want to take a second to say thank you so much to everybody that's liking this live right now on X, because I got notifications. Thanks so much to everyone that's liking this live right now, commenting on this live outside the live, and also retweeting this live on X. And thank you so much to everyone who's also liking this live on YouTube as well. Thanks so much to everyone who's using the hashtags #XRP and #XRP Army, #XRP Family outside the live on the post. Now, let me give you a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about on tonight's live. So tonight we're going to be talking about these topics. We're going to be talking about BlackRock CEO's new perspective coming out essentially from the World Economic Forum. There's a lot of CEOs and executive board members right now in World Economic Forum. And, yesterday we had essentially the Bank of America having discussions about, the banks are ready for, the financial department of crypto space to be entering the banking worlds. But now we have, essentially a perspective coming in from BlackRock. We also have perspectives coming in from JP Morgan and so on. So we're also going to be talking about Coinbase's CEO on tonight's live as well, in terms of Coinbase thinking that they need to help one particular crypto project to do better. We're also going to be talking about Standard Chartered Bank on tonight's live as well. Standard Chartered Bank has came up with a new perspective on how they think the market space is going to be playing out this year. We're also going to go through the news topics of Ledger on tonight's live. Apparently, one of the co-founders of Ledger has been apprehended. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding Hong Kong. Now, Hong Kong is used essentially by China as a playground for their crypto experiments and their crypto licensings and so on. And Hong Kong seems to be getting ready for their next stage. So we're going to talk about what Hong Kong is actually getting ready for the crypto space. And, they do want to compete with the American market space, especially now for Trump presidency, in terms of who wants to become a, crypto capital first. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding another company coming inside the crypto space and following the footsteps of MicroStrategy. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding NASDAQ. The NASDAQ CEO has came out with her new perspective on how things, on essentially how things are going to be playing out in terms of IPOs, in terms of blockchain companies going towards IPOs. Now that Gary Gensler is no longer in a position of power, crypto companies can actually go public now. So we have a perspective from NASDAQ's CEO to go through. We're also going to be going through the news topic on tonight's live regarding Goldman Sachs CEO on new perspectives on the US dollar and Bitcoin. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding Crypto.com, launching essentially an institutional platform for the US market space. Another indication that we are going straight into the institutional market space ASAP by the looks of it. We're also going to be talking about Coinbase and the SEC on tonight's live. Since that Gary Gensler has left, what's in stock for Coinbase? Well, their case is going to get dropped, or any other case is going to get dropped from the SEC. And on the topic of cases getting dropped, we're also going to be talking about the first ever closed door meeting that's happening right now with the SEC. And we're going to go through bullet points of what things are being discussed right now behind closed doors with the SEC. And one of those things is dismissal or settlement of cases, because Gary Gensler is gone. So there's nobody stopping the SEC from, working with the crypto space and not suing it instead. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding the matters of the CME, the Chicago essentially Market Exchange, Chicago Market Exchange, in other words, has given some sort of hints about ETFs that are about to be happening in that market space. And I'll review what the ETFs are that Chicago Market Exchange essentially thinks is going to be happening next. Once we get to that news, I'll reveal the 2 crypto projects on that list. We're also going to be talking about on tonight's live regarding a billionaire asset manager who came forward and said one particular cryptocurrency could be taking the ranks as we move forward in 2025. And I'll reveal what that crypto project is towards the end of the live. So before we go through any of those news topics, and the first one essentially being about BlackRock's new prediction on Bitcoin, a perspective coming in from the World Economic Forum essentially event that's going on right now in Davos, Switzerland. But before we go through that news topic, let's go inside the comment section first. Let me go straight into the first news topic. Yeah, let's go to the comment section first. We'll go straight to the first news, and then comments, news, in the back and forward type of style. So let's see where we were inside the comment section first. We were at here, I think. Yeah. Being great, seeing busy, December going pump. Yep. Carrie, good to see you. How you doing? Kelly, good evening. Miles and CMF, how you doing? I'm doing great. Paul, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles and CMF. George, good to see you. How you doing? Miles, Jimbo keep complaining about 20,000 XRP. What can he do with this much? You can do a lot if you hold on to it, and then essentially we get to the part where it's rules and regulations and adoption. You can do a lot with it. JP, let's go. Morning, Miles and CMF. Shelly, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Can you? Hi, Miles and CMF. Sam, Shelly, good to see you. How you doing? Hi, George, good to see you. How you doing? 43 LAT. LAT is a great project as well, no doubt about it. You don't have to have a background. I know I don't have to have a background. I like the background. What's wrong with the background? What's your opinion on AMP? Does it have a future in the crypto world? AMP has some sort of a future inside the essentially crypto world. It's a legitimate project. It's not a some sort of a scam project or some sort of a meme coin project. It's a legitimate project, and it could have a place inside the crypto space, without a doubt, yes. But mainly you want your focus to be on financial projects rather than AMP, is what my perspective would be. But good to see you. I am Rebel. How you been, brother? How's things? But yeah, it's a good project to look into. It's a great project. It's a genuine project. Even Miles and family. Ian, good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? Big up, brother. How you doing, Jay? Miles, what about what amount of XDC is good? Whatever you can afford. Everyone's budget is very different, but XDC is a great project, legitimate project, great project in the financial category. Even Miles, Davey, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Happy Pisces, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Now, first news on tonight's live is coming in from BlackRock. BlackRock CEO, just like any other CEO or executive board member, is right now in Davos, Switzerland, at the World Economic Forum, essentially event, talking about everything to do with crypto and blockchain and finance and essentially Web3 and AI. And this is what he said today. He said, essentially, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink predicts that Bitcoin could rise to $700,000 and says that he's a big believer in Bitcoin. Now, him stating this matches to what essentially Michael Saylor said. Michael Saylor has for a while been saying that Bitcoin could reach these astronomical price figures, like even $1 million. Can Bitcoin reach $1 million? Yes, it's possible. It's not overnight, but it can do over time. Bitcoin's legitimacy as an investment vehicle is gaining momentum among institutional investors. Larry Fink, the chief executive officer of the world's largest asset management firm, BlackRock, revealed in an interview today that he is essentially a strong believer of Bitcoin. Larry Fink explained that these frightened by the debasements of their local fiat currencies or uncertain about the political or economic stability of their respective essentially countries should turn to Bitcoin. He said that the uncertain investors have essentially internationally based instrument Bitcoin that could aid the overcome of the fears. So if any country is going through some sort of fiat depreciations, they should be heading towards Bitcoin, is what he's essentially trying to say. Now, at the same time, the CEO announced he was a big believer in Bitcoin utilization as an instrument and sees the asset as a proper hedge against hope, securities, and equities. He also essentially mentioned that he's been with the Sovereign Wealth Fund this week, and the main conversation revolved around the allocation of Bitcoin. Larry Fink revealed that the sovereign wealth funds are considering 2 to 5% allocation on the crypto asset. He explained that if everyone adopted the conversion of Bitcoin's price could surge significantly. Larry Fink predicted that essentially Bitcoin could hit $700,000. He said, if you're frightened about debasements or local political instability, you have an international instrument called Bitcoin to overcome any of these fears, and we could see 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 per Bitcoin. Larry Fink has also been a strong supporter of Bitcoin for the longest time. In October last year, the executive said that Bitcoin was a new alternative to commodities assets such as gold. However, Larry Fink was not always pro-crypto executive until recently. Back in 2017, Larry Fink said that Bitcoin was an index for measuring money laundering tools used to gauge essentially how much money is being made from the criminal activity. BlackRock ventured into the industry and launched its first ever BTC ETF, which essentially was approved by the SEC and was listed on the NASDAQ, which has done incredibly well as a Bitcoin ETF. It's the #1 ranking Bitcoin ETF right now in the world. BlackRock's essentially BTC ETF. According to data from Social Value, a US spot Bitcoin ETF tracker, IBIT currently has a net asset under management worth $60.69 billion. Data from Bitcoin's treasury also shows that the ETF has 563,134 Bitcoins in its custody service right now. Fidelity's FBTC also trails behind the IBIT from BlackRock with 209 and 69,000 Bitcoins, with Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust GBTC also claiming third place with 203 and 242,000 Bitcoins in its custody. Bitcoin ETFs have recorded positive inflows for the last 4 consecutive working days. The data from the Social Value essentially shows that ETFs received inflows worth $755 million on January 15th, $626 million on January 16th, and more than $1 billion on January 17th, so before the data has come out. And as of January 21st, the entities witnessed an inflows of $802 million, and the US spot Bitcoin ETFs hold roughly about $123.59 billion in net assets under management, which translates to about 5.88% of Bitcoin's market capitalization. According to data from CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin has essentially hit it's past essentially all-time high of $109,114 on January 20th. The crypto asset has corrected since then and is exchanging hands for $104,000 at the time of this publication. The crypto asset has been down essentially 1.60% in the last 24 hours, essentially bringing its day to a gain of 5.64%. Now, the recent dip in crypto markets may have been probably caused because of Trump coming into essentially presidency and not mentioning crypto assets, but Trump is still pro-crypto, as I've mentioned before. A lot of pro-crypto things are happening, even if Trump didn't mention crypto on his day one. And even we have essentially CZ coming in, the former founder and CEO of essentially Binance, coming in and tweeting about essentially telling everyone to be patient. A lot of things are in works right now. One of them being the SEC creating a crypto task force, which I revealed yesterday, straight after Gary Gensler left. Donald Trump administration gave a green light to the SEC to create a crypto task force. There's a lot of pro things happening right now for the crypto space behind the scenes, and things are in motion. We have banks that are ready essentially in the United States to get some sort of a green light to start using crypto payments and essentially entering into the crypto ecosystems as well. Now, also Coinbase's co-founder and CEO Brian Armstrong said in a recent interview that he was not too worried even after Trump scheduled the sector when signing his day one executive orders. Even Coinbase's CEO has came out and said, even if Trump didn't mention day one anything about crypto, we know still that he is pro-crypto. There's a lot of pro-crypto things happening in the background. When asked about essentially the first crypto executive order from the US president would be, Brian Armstrong explained that it's only been a day. He highlighted that it's only been essentially a day and a high likelihood that Trump would essentially instruct regulators and government agencies to collaborate and establish clear rules to allow capital to flow inside the United States, which is exactly what he's doing. Now, to be fairly honest, there's a lot of pro things happening right now inside the crypto space, but it's not seen to the naked eye because everybody's still focused on when is Trump going to mention crypto. That's what the majority of the crypto space right now is sitting on and essentially waiting for Trump to say crypto this and crypto that. But you don't have to wait for the guy to say crypto this and crypto that because his actions show that he is pro-crypto. We have a crypto task force, which we've never had before inside the SEC. The FDIC, who was anti-crypto and stifled banks inside the United States to work for crypto companies, is now giving some sort of rules and regulations coming through so banks can work with the crypto space. So two massive organizations in America who stifled the crypto space are now pro-crypto and creating crypto task force and regulations. A lot of pro things are actually happening behind the scenes. But for some reason, the crypto space is waiting for Trump to mention something about crypto. He doesn't have to mention anything pro about crypto because his actions are showing that everything around him is becoming pro-crypto. Now, on the topic of Coinbase's CEO, Brian Armstrong, telling everybody to be patient and there's a lot of things happening. Coinbase's CEO takes a bold step and talks about one particular crypto asset that needs help. Actually, before I read you the next news, let me go inside the comment section first, and I'll tell you which crypto project Coinbase's CEO is coming out and saying it needs help, and I am here to help essentially this crypto project do better and become better. But before I reveal which crypto project Coinbase's CEO is talking about, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's see what's going on inside the comment section first, then we go straight into the next news. We were here. Miles, what price XDC can reach compared to XRP? If XRP is $1,000, what can XDC do at the same time? Consider variable change. Hi, brother. Come on, good to see you. Come on, good to see you. How you doing, brother? How you been? Hello, Miles and CMF. Scott, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Greetings, Miles and CMF. Hope all is well. Ray, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? I sent you a message via X saying your humble and respected opinion. Scott, I'll check it out after the live. Good to see you, brother. How you doing? Good morning, brother Miles. Good to see you as well, Frankie, brother. How you doing? How you been? Good morning, CMF. Let's go. I'm late again. Don't worry about it. Miles, so if I can borrow against my XRP, how much XRP I has to give for borrowing against it as having a minimum amount, and will XDC be able to borrow against XLM? Okay, you can probably borrow against a multitude of crypto assets essentially at a later time. from banks like HSBC or Standard Chartered Bank, because even Standard Chartered Bank has its own crypto category department, which is called Zodia. So, platforms like this, you can use your assets as collateral and borrow against it, and essentially, use that debt to do something with for the best ROI you can possibly find. But once that time comes, essentially, I will let you know what the steps are, who essentially you could take it with, HSBC Bank or even Binance or Nexo or so on. What have I missed, Miles? Just the first part of the news, but good to see how you're doing. How's your mother doing as well? Thank you, brother. Will ACH, in your opinion, in spite of lack of interest of the retail, do good in 2025? ACH will do good, essentially, in 2025, despite obviously the interest that essentially the retail section will still essentially do good in 2025. Not compared to obviously XRP, XLM, XDC, and H1 and Cardano, but will still do good. ACH good for a stable coin? It's not a stable coin. Hi from Malaysia, Shakira. Good to see you. So how you doing? How you been? Miles, when do you think the markets will start pumping? Within a week or so, we should be going on the upside. As I said, within a week, I tweeted essentially, and I said essentially the markets are going to go a little bit down, a little bit sideways, and then slowly picking back up. And I said the next few days are going to be very interesting. It's sideways at the moment. Exactly. We went down. We're sideways. We're going to go slowly back up again. Good morning, Miles and CMF. Ghost Runner. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? But yeah, right now we're at the sideways stage. Hello, Miles. CMF on YouTube. I hope that you had a good day. Scott, let's go. How you doing? How have you been, Miles and CMF? Lena, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Mr. T is working in silence. He definitely is. Trump is definitely working in silence right now. Is Trump and Melina Crypto a rug pull? Based on what I've read and how different sites designate a rug pull, it seems to fit it. Trump and Melina's essentially token is basically a meme coin, which means meme coins are not something you should be aiming for. Meme coins are high risk assets that you can lose potentially all of your money or some of your money, and depending on when you decide to jump out. So in general, meme coins is something that the majority of the crypto space, especially if you're new inside the crypto space, should stay well away from. Now, none of this is financial advice, just personal preferencing for myself to stay away from meme coins if you're new inside the crypto space, because if you are a new person inside the crypto space, you have a higher chance of losing money, all of your money, inside of meme coins than anybody else inside the crypto space, because you are basically used as bait. So regarding the topic of Trump's token or Melina's token, they're meme coins, which means they're highly speculative assets, which means you should not go near them in any sort of a way, unless you want to lose money inside of meme coins. To be fairly honest. But they're meme coins, so they do fit. Essentially, they do fit the category of rug pulls. That's what meme coins are. They're rug pulls. He's leaving the best to last. Yes, pretty much, Shirley. Facts. But yes, Scott, they're basically meme coins, which means they're rug pulls. Is it far-fetched to see XRP reaching $25 to $30 during 2025? It's not far-fetched in any sort of a way. It just depends on how well they're adapted into the financial system and how well the rules and how fast the rules and regulations come in. Miles, thank you for asking, my bro. My mother is fine now, thank God. Let's go, Frank brother. Good to hear that. Miles, I'm worried if I have 1,000 XRP and I don't give all my coins, so how many I will lend to the bank. But when we get to that stage, I'll definitely let you know. How Miles, hi Miles of family. Alex, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? When regulations are coming and then XRP reach essentially high pricing, is Hulu hidden gem better than XLM? Hulu is definitely a hidden gem, but it's not better than XLM in any sort of a way. But it is a hidden gem. Now, Trump is operating in silence because of his experience during his last presidency. Facts. Meme coin is for the retail, so can go to zero at any time. Facts. Now, Coinbase's CEO has come out and said one particular crypto project. Now, if I said this, some people might say, oh, well, you're biased because you like, projects like XRP and XLM and XDC and HBON and so on. So someone might say I'm biased if I say this. But I've been saying this for a while, that there is one particular crypto project inside the crypto space that needs a lot of help to fix itself. And that project is Solana. Some people might not want to hear this, but Solana is a crypto project that has been struggling for a while in terms of being able to do transactions. If anybody's ever used Solana, you know for a fact it's very difficult to process transactions, especially if the network is busy. And if the network is essentially, if the network is not even busy, Solana has crashed 11 times. The last time was 4 hours. Nobody could do any transactions. And I'm not the only one that sees it that way, because Coinbase's CEO has come out today and said this. So Coinbase's CEO takes a bold step to support Solana after recent issues. I wouldn't say recent issues. I'd be saying Solana's having issues for the longest time. But here it is. In a bid to boost the market sentiment, Coinbase's CEO recently announced plans to offer Tier 1 support for Solana following operational disruptions on the crypto trading platform. Brian Armstrong emphasized that the issue affecting transactions on the network of Solana have been resolved and efforts are underway to prevent similar problems in the future so that Solana doesn't keep on crashing in the future. Brian Armstrong stated that they aim to provide support for Solana at the same level as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Base. In light of recent withdrawal problems faced by users, essentially various measures are being implemented to avert similar incidents going forward. This is Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, coming out and saying, look, Solana needs a lot of work. Solana can't process transactions. It keeps on crashing. It's going all over the place. We need to help Solana out. Now, if anybody else said this, people would say, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, or, you know, you don't like Solana or something like that. But because Brian Armstrong saying, you know, CEO of Coinbase, it's seen as facts. It was facts before. It's just some people didn't want to, you know, accept those facts. He said, it is clear that we need to enhance our performance on Solana. Brian Armstrong's words, CEO of Coinbase. It is clear that we need to enhance our performance on Solana, scale our infrastructure, and provide local support for common use cases like DEX and meme coin trading. Because the only thing that Solana offers to the crypto space is meme coins. The Coinbase CEO noted that transaction delays on Solana have been addressed for the time being, and that operations should resume swiftly for the time being. This announcement followed the suspension of SOL withdrawals by leading exchanges like Coinbase and Binance due to high withdrawal volumes. We have resolved the delays on Solana, and transactions are expected to speed up. At the time of writing, Solana's price had risen approximately 7.5%, essentially to $257.48. The cryptocurrency recorded a 24-hour low of $236, and a high of $259.83. The price increase has sparked interest from traders among Coinbase's CEO's announcement regarding the resolution of transaction issues on Solana's network. Additionally, earlier signs indicate that the CME futures will commence in February, further supporting the trend. Moreover, the Solana network has experienced significant surge in activity following the recent launches of meme coins like Trump and Melania meme coins, which has led to an increase in withdrawal volumes also on Coinbase and other exchanges. And crypto market observers are optimistic about SOL tokens in the long term based on recent developments. The support plan essentially from Coinbase for Solana is seen as a positive step to the crypto ecosystem, continuing efforts to enhance user experience on their platforms. The high trading volumes and increased network activities highlight the necessities for exchanges to bolster essentially their infrastructure investments, and Coinbase moves could help Solana reach a broader user base. So Coinbase's CEO basically came out and said that Solana needs major help. In his words, it was Solana needs help, but Solana needs major help, because it can't process transactions most of the time, it freezes most of the time, or it shuts down whenever it wants to. And that's not great, especially if we're going to go into this whole world of digital essentially living, and we're trying to prove to the rest of the world crypto is the future. But how can we say that when we have projects that just freeze and crash? Because the banking system doesn't freeze and crash. But let's see how he goes ahead and does. Look, what I would say to that is, why fix something that's broken when you can just instead work on something that already works? And what I'm trying to say is, look, XRP works fine. It's fast, it's cheap, it never crashes, it can always process transactions. You can work on XRP and expand instead. But, you know, if you want to, go and fix something that's broken. Now, moving on essentially from Solana's, from the Coinbase CEO's perspective on Solana needs a lot of help. Finally, someone mentioned it, because the Solana ecosystem, you know, the Solana family or Solana army would never mention this. But someone higher up, like Coinbase's CEO, finally coming out and saying, look, Solana, you know, needs a lot of help. They can't do anything properly. Now, Standard Chartered Bank is what we're going to talk about next. Moving on from his perspective on Solana, Brian Armstrong, to Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank has a new perspective on the market space in 2025, and it came out today, on what price points two particular crypto assets can reach this year under a Trump presidency, under regulations, and so on. And here it is. Standard Chartered Bank publishes an updated Bitcoin and Ethereum price forecast for 2025. Institutional investment in Bitcoin is expected to reach unprecedented levels this year, driven in essentially part by pension funds, according to a new report by the multinational bank Standard Chartered. The report that came out today noted that it continued the influx of institutional money that could push Bitcoin's price to $200,000 per coin by the end of 2025, a new perspective coming in from Standard Chartered Bank. The report also underlines that institutional fund flows are essentially what's going to be pushing the crypto space in general, especially from pension funds and managers, or essentially a game changer for Bitcoin and the entire crypto space. If positive steps are taken as we expect, institutional flows into BTC in 2025 could exceed 2024 levels, and fresh capital will likely come from the long-term essentially funds classified as pension funds, the note emphasized. Now, to be fairly honest, pension funds have been entering the crypto space towards Bitcoin for a while now. Last year, we had a lot of pension fund money going towards Bitcoin. We've also had one of the biggest pension funds in the world, which is actually a Korean essentially pension fund, South Korean pension fund, one of the biggest in the world, that has went towards Bitcoin ETFs. They're holding a multitude of Bitcoin ETFs. They're also holding Coinbase shares on the stock market. The launch of Bitcoin spot ETFs last year played a crucial role in providing exposure to BTC to institutional investors, including pension funds. These ETFs allow investors to buy shares that track the price of Bitcoin instead of having to store or directly manage the asset themselves. The report comes after Bitcoin reached an all-time high, essentially earlier this month, which essentially was largely fueled by institutional demands, particularly following the approval of the 10 Bitcoin spot ETFs that happened way back in January 2024. The unexpected re-election of crypto-friendly President Donald Trump also essentially boosting the sentiment for the crypto space even more, is what their report states. And Standard Chartered's analysis goes beyond Bitcoin, predicting that Ethereum will also benefit from the surge in institutional inflows. Despite Ethereum's ETFs being approved last year, the asset has not seen the same rapid price increase as Bitcoin has been seeing in their ETF space. However, the reports predict that Ethereum could reach $10,000 by the end of 2025. Now, the only reason, as I said before, that Ethereum never saw the massive increase coming in for their Ethereum ETFs from people like on Wall Street is because they didn't see the point. Bitcoin selling feature is limited token supply. Bitcoin has 21 million tokens. That's a selling feature for Wall Street. Ethereum didn't have anything to offer to the table to Wall Street, which is why we never saw that rapid increase coming in for Ethereum ETFs. They barely did anything to Ethereum. Now, Ethereum was going to be having staking capabilities, which Gary Gensler removed that capability and then gave it an ETF. But now, obviously, Gary Gensler is gone. We're going to have a lot of refilings for Ethereum ETFs that have staking capabilities, which will then essentially bring some buyers in for investors and so on for Ethereum ETFs. But that's the only reason Ethereum didn't, boost massively like Bitcoin with their ETFs, because they brought nothing to the table. They could have brought staking, but Gary took that away. But now that Gary's gone, things have changed. Now, moving on essentially from the perspective that came out from Standard Chartered Bank of how the market space can play out. And also, by the way, their report stating that institutional investors, essentially the aim is this year, it's completely facts. This year, next year, and the year beyond that, and the year beyond that is all about institutions and banks. This is the year of institutions and banks coming inside the crypto space at full frontal. But moving on from that to Ledger. Now, before we go through the Ledger news, and I'm guessing a lot of people hold Ledger to store their assets in a cold storage wallet, Let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into the ledger news. So let's see what's going on inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into the ledger news. And by the way, as I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. More than happy to answer the questions you may have. So let's see what's inside the comment section. Is it we were here. What are your thoughts on Ethan? How you doing? What are your thoughts on VET? Does it continue to do well after its boom the other day? VET can do well. It's a legitimate project under regulations. It could do very well for itself. It's a possibility, yes. Good evening, Miles. Adi, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? VET also has some licensings to operate in America as well, which is beneficial for rules and regulations. But Adi, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. Shelly says, don't forget to go to X and tag hashtag XRP, hashtag XRP Army, and hashtag XRP Family for those who haven't already to show support for Miles, guys. Yes, please do if you already haven't. If you're watching this right now, go inside the comment section of this live, but not the comment section of the live. Go to the comment section of the post of this live on X and comment and like each other's comments. Comment hashtag XRP Army, and hashtag XRP Family. If you haven't done already, go for it, CMF Family. Last night, I pulled out my Sol purse. I received an alert notice with large extensions and marks on CB stating, be prepared for delays in transactions. I knew then, good to swap for XLM. Yeah. This BTC DOM is slowing this alt market so much. This BTC dominancy is what's slowing the alt market so much. Not really, I'll be honest with you. It's an interesting perspective, seeing that Bitcoin is creating this dominant space right now, which is why the alt space is struggling. The alt space was struggling because of Gary Gensler. And now that Gary Gensler is gone, straight after Gary Gensler left, the night afterwards, the SEC, from essentially getting a green light from Trump's administration, they gave a green light to the SEC to create a crypto task force. He put Mark in charge of the SEC, who's pro-crypto, and then Hester Pierce was put in charge of the crypto task force that's going to bring the regulations in from the SEC so that alts can move. But alts that are legitimate assets that will do well on the regulations, in other words, the alts that have, corporate partnerships or banking partnerships or even licensings that operate inside the United States will do better than the rest of the alts. Good evening, Miles and family. Susie, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, what price you think? Because Gary Gensler was very loose on Bitcoin. He was just very strict on everything else inside the crypto space. Even with Ethereum, even though Gary Gensler gave Ethereum an ETF, it took away its staking capability, which made the Ethereum ETF useless, which is why Ethereum never pumped ridiculously like Bitcoin did with his ETF. Good evening, Miles and family. Susie, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? But interest perspective. Miles, what price you think Hulo's hidden gem can be peak of bull run $1 to $2? One, possible. Do you think Trump has got a deal going if and is trying to dump on Solana to cause another crash like Luna? Do I think Trump has got a deal with Ethereum and is going to try to dump on Solana? No. I don't think the president of the United States is, trying to dump on Solana in the first place, because that would be very wrong and also very illegal. And regarding does Trump have a deal with Ethereum? No, because Vitalik Buterin yesterday revealed that there is no deal between Trump and Ethereum, by the way. Miles, when you think Black Swan coming, and will the crash crypto market so we can buy cheap? A Black Swan event is something that's always been predicted inside the crypto space. It's always an outcome to consider, but not the outcome, but an outcome to consider. Happy Pisces says, I brought one of the original Trump meme coins last year, which was on ETH. Like my way, I donating to his campaign. The fact he went to Solana was a good move as it snubs ETH and Vitalik's issues. And he chose Sol to prove that it would crash, not a good project blockchain. I agree. For his and his wife, most recent meme coin, very brilliant strategy, just my personal opinion. It's an interesting opinion. Yeah. Why are you bullish on HBAR? Well, the reason I'm bullish on HBAR is down to their partnerships, down to them essentially being invited to events like the World Economic Forum, the most powerful people on this planet pretty much, discussing what's going to happen next around this world. Also, I'm bullish on their licensings they have around the world. Also, I'm bullish on the contract, essentially, and partnership they've built with Ripple alongside them as well. In general, projects that have licensings and a huge list of partnerships inside the corporate sector will do better inside of essentially a regulated market space. So a lot of crypto projects inside the alt section will struggle on the rules and regulations because they don't have the right amount of licensings. They don't have any decent corporate partnerships to boost them inside that regulated market space and so on. But HBAR essentially ticks all the boxes alongside XRP, alongside XLM, XDC, and so on and so on. Even Miles and CMF, Manny, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, on YouTube, I keep tapping the heart constantly. It's helping the channel, or am I ruining my mic for nothing? It's helping the channel. Let's go up basis for that. Will a VPN allow me to bypass when exchanges do not allow UK customers? It's not recommended to use VPNs to access exchanges anymore. So that used to be a method used by the crypto space a long time ago when KYC wasn't about. But now that we have strict KYC rules and regulations on pretty much all exchanges, using a VPN is not recommended in any sort of way, because you can use an exchange that's not based in your jurisdictions because it's banned in your jurisdictions, and you can use a VPN for a while. But once that exchange says to you to verify yourself, and you can't verify yourself because you've been using a VPN, which means you can't state you are from the country because you were using VPN, then that's going to raise some issues and your account's going to get blocked and you can lose your funds. So it's not really recommended in any sort of a way to use a VPN anymore to access exchanges that are not available in your jurisdictions, because your accounts can get frozen on those exchanges and you can lose a lot of money because you can't prove where you're from when they essentially require you to provide, regarding KYC. Know your customer, in other words, some sort of IDs or passports or any sort of verification. So it's not recommended. Don't use the VPN anymore. Miles, when do you think the markets will start to pump? Within a few days, we should be on the upside. Within a week or so on, we should be on the upside. Will HBAR perform more than Hulo? Yes, definitely. Obviously, HBAR will perform more than Hulo. Yeah, 100%. Now, Ledger. Now, regarding also the markets, we should be on the upside the moment we get some sort of news coming out from the SEC within a week. Now, regarding Ledger, everybody holds a Ledger wallet, which means it's an important topic. And if you don't hold Ledger, you most likely hold Tangent or any sort of other cold storage wallets. But here's what's going on with Ledger. Apparently, it's not confirmed in any sort of a way, but apparently, one of the co-founders of Ledger, has been kidnapped and faces Bitcoin ransom demands. Now, this is rumor for the time being, and it's not confirmed in any sort of a way. And it could just be that Ledger is maybe trying to shut this argument down from the news. But so Eric, the founder of Ledger, one of the world's largest hardware, essentially cryptocurrency and Bitcoin wallet manufacturers, may have been kidnapped for ransom, according to unconfirmed developments reported by local French media. The local French media has came out and said that the co-founder of Ledger has been kidnapped and they were asking for Bitcoin ransoms. And the kidnappers reportedly asked for ransoms in Bitcoin, according to the local French newspaper. According to unconfirmed reports, the French police and the National Essential Intervention Groups, GIGN, are currently investigating the Vienna region of France. The kidnapping occurred in Maria, a small town where Eric essentially has a mansion. However, the big whales, another French media organization from within the sector, argued in a statement that the rumors of the kidnapping were not true, but the police is still looking for him. One side is saying, he's not kidnapped. The other side is saying the police is looking for him. Now, however, the fact that there is no statement has yet been made by Eric himself as the co-founder of Ledger is what raises more skepticism. However, CZ, the founder of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, Binance, also got involved in the incident. And CZ said that he saw the news that the Ledger founder was kidnapped, but some news have denied it. He added that he was not sure what if it was true at the moment, and that the truth will come out soon. Even CZ, the former founder of essentially Binance and the CEO, essentially, or the former CEO of Binance, even CZ came out and said he doesn't know if it's true or not, but essentially the co-founder of Ledger could be kidnapped right now, and the kidnappers are asking essentially for Bitcoin ransoms. So let's see how that's going to be playing out. And we still haven't had a statement coming in from the co-founder of Ledger, from himself, because if the news is saying, if some news outlets are saying it's fake news, but then some news outlets are saying it's true from France, and the police is looking for him, the only way to shut this down, if it's true or not, is for him to come out on X and say, I'm not kidnapped. But he hasn't. So is he kidnapped, is the question. Not good for Ledger if their co-founder is, taken by criminals. The good news is Ledger doesn't have access to any of our passphrases or seed phrases unless you're paying for Ledger monthly. Now, I'm just joking. Well, you never know. But Hong Kong is what we're going to talk about next. So moving off the Ledger news to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is used essentially as a playground for China to test out all of their crypto regulations and crypto licensings and so on. And Hong Kong wants to become a major competitor to essentially to the US and to Dubai and Singapore and Tokyo and so on, and the EU. And Hong Kong is getting ready to grant a lot of crypto licensings, especially now with a Trump presidency and America's taking footsteps inside the crypto space. So Hong Kong Securities and Future Commission, SFC, which is their equivalent of the SEC, is preparing to issue new cryptocurrency trading license following a comprehensive review process of applicants. Now, why is this important for you if you don't live in Hong Kong? The reason why this news is important, it's showing more indications that a lot of countries around the world right now are taking more footsteps inside the crypto space because they're all trying to compete with each other. It's only because of Trump, every single country is now deciding to compete with each other. The more these countries compete with each other in terms of who gets there first and regulations in crypto space and giving out licensings and so on, the better it is for us, because more money will be entering from those jurisdictions around the world from their corporate section into the crypto sector. So we have news like this, like Hong Kong, getting prepared for new licensings and trying to, take a next step level up. It's better for us, because if Hong Kong does this, then Dubai goes, well, we need to compete with Hong Kong. We need to release more licensings and more regulations, and let's get this thing rolling. Then Singapore goes, oh, we want to get involved as well. Tokyo goes, we want to get involved. The EU wants to now get involved. So it's just one big domino effect. The Chinese media outlet, essentially Sina Finance, reported that the executive director of the intermediary department at the Securities Regulatory Agency indicated that license approvals could be announced before the end of the first quarter of 2025. Before the end of the first quarter of 2025, Hong Kong is coming out with a multitude of licensings. Who also chairs Hong Kong's FinTech Advisory Group, reportedly disclosed that the commission completed on-site inspections of nearly all applicant and platforms in 2024. He highlighted that the SFC directly communicated with the necessary requirements for licenses and eligibilities and ensured that crypto platforms were given ample time essentially to address compliance notices during the review process. He also noted that there is no guarantee that all 11 platforms will secure licensings, as they must adhere to strict regulatory red lines. These include measures to ensure investor protection, meet security standards, and maintain a proper operational practices. He expressed optimism that the SFC could share some good news within the next 2 months, And notably, Hong Kong's licensing initiative for crypto service providers has gained support from mainland China. China is the one behind, Hong Kong's footsteps inside the crypto space, with the People's Bank of China praising the island's regulatory approach, essentially. And the Central Bank of China essentially also acknowledged the growing global significance of cryptocurrency regulations and licensing frameworks. China is also going to be opening their doors to the crypto space very slowly as well. Significance of cryptocurrency regulations and licensing frameworks. However, despite its commitments to expanding crypto licensings, Hong Kong is still trailing behind Singapore, which essentially has issued twice as many crypto licensings in 2024 so far compared to the previous year. In another development, Hong Kong's lawmakers Wu Ji also urged the region's government to consider adding Bitcoin to its physical reserves. Wu also proposed using foreign exchange funds to acquire and maintain digital assets in the long term, citing Bitcoin's essentially a limited supply as a potential hedge against inflation and essentially a competitor to traditional assets. While acknowledging its volatility, the lawmakers suggested that allocating only a small portion of the reserve to the initiative would help the country. Wu also noted that adoption of major economics could stabilize its value, reducing resilience on traditional essentially reserves like gold due to Bitcoin's lower storage and transaction cost. So Hong Kong is getting ready to compete even further inside the crypto space. They want to, level up and reach levels like Singapore, and obviously, Singapore's competing with Dubai. Dubai is competing with the EU. There's a lot of competing going on right now inside the crypto space, and it's all positive for us, people who are holding cryptocurrencies, especially if you're holding legitimate cryptocurrencies. This is amazing news. Every time I hear any country essentially going more into licensing, more into regulations, it means more institutional money is going to be entering the market space from that particular jurisdiction. It also indicates that other countries are going to see it as a competitor to move further on, which also adds more money from different jurisdictions, from their corporate sectors. Now, moving on essentially from Hong Kong and China pushing Hong Kong to new levels, to another company joining MicroStrategy's footsteps in essentially their blueprint that's left behind, adding cryptocurrencies to their portfolios, and starting off with Bitcoin. So here it is. Critical Metals joins corporate Bitcoin trend with a $500 million treasury management plan. Critical Metals Corp has unveiled a $500 million Bitcoin investment strategy, following the cryptocurrency's treasury management approach pioneered by MicroStrategy. According to an official press release from the Solid Minerals Mining Company, it has secured through a financing agreement with GBA and Asset Management following its board of directors' approval of a plan to incorporate Bitcoin as a primary treasury asset. The company stated that its acquisition strategy is subject to changes and modifications, as it would essentially execute through a disciplined approach influenced by market dynamics and cash inflows. Notably, its deal with the asset manager is structured such as that it gets an initial $100 million, essentially a tranche for immediate Bitcoin purchases, with access to additional $400 million in optional fundings, and the initial $100 million comes from 100% of warrant coverage, allowing investors to purchase essentially company shares equal to their full investments at their essentially price, and the optional $400 million includes a 50% warrant coverage. So pretty much the exact same steps that MicroStrategy has been taking, Michael Saylor has been taking for MicroStrategy, MSTR, is exact same steps this company is taking to create some sort of Bitcoin reserve for themselves. Also, under the agreements, Bitcoin purchased through the program can be converted into company common stocks at $6 per share, with a company warrants at $7 per share. And incorporating a Bitcoin allocation to our treasury management strategy is an innovative approach that we believe will strengthen our essentially balance sheets and create a long-term shareholder value, said Tony Sage, the executive chairman and CEO of Critical Metals. Sage also announced that his intentions to personally purchase Bitcoin through the company's shares, and noted that this move essentially aligns with various Western government initiatives exploring national Bitcoin reserve concepts. And this move also positions Critical Metals Corp among a growing number of public companies adopting Bitcoin as a treasury asset, reflecting essentially a broader trend of corporate cryptocurrency adoptions. And the strategy mirrors of that essentially of MicroStrategy, which recently reinforced its position as the world's largest corporate Bitcoin holder, with a new purchase of 1,070 Bitcoins for $101 million at an average price of $94,000 per Bitcoin. And the acquisition essentially brings the total holdings of 447,470 Bitcoins acquired for $27.97 billion. And the company reported a 48% Bitcoin yield for their Q4 2024 reports. So, another company following MicroStrategy's footsteps. And I know it's just they're going for Bitcoin only and so on, but these companies then these companies will essentially open up their portfolios from Bitcoin to other assets the moment the regulations come in, especially from the US, which is what's going on right now with the crypto task force coming in from the SEC, which in their words, within a week, we should have some regulations in America. Now, moving on from that one, essentially moving on from another company following MicroStrategy's footsteps into this Bitcoin space, into this crypto space and so on, to the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ CEO has came out and she's very optimistic. She's basically come out and said that we can expect a lot more IPOs coming out this year from blockchain companies. Now, the reason why we never had that many IPOs or any sort of IPOs coming out essentially from the crypto space, except Coinbase's IPO, was because Gary Gensler was not amused. And Gary Gensler would reject any blockchain IPO. Before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section. And there's a lot of companies right now inside the blockchain sector that are waiting or applying for an IPO. But before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I read everybody's comments one by one. I don't skip out on anyone's comments. So if you do have a question, don't be shy. Go for it inside the comment section. Let's see what's going on, and then we go straight to the next news, which is regarding IPOs, a perspective coming in from the CEO of the NASDAQ. Now, let's see where we were at. We were at Miles, Wendy, no, I read that one already. Will Hitchbot, I read that one as well. Okay, we were here. How can I buy Taurus AI token UK customer? If you want to buy any crypto project, the easiest thing you can do is go to CMC, CoinMarketCap. So you can download the app, CoinMarketCap, from the Google Play Store or the App Store, depending on what phone you use, Android or iOS. And then you can search inside the search bar, essentially, whatever crypto project you want. Click on the crypto project, and then click on Markets at the top, and it will show you which exchanges list that particular crypto project. If you want a step-by-step, just put a comment outside this live, inside the comment section on YouTube, because you're watching from YouTube, CG. So put a comment outside the live, and I'll just put a step-by-step for you in the comment section. No problem. Friends of mine had their business computer system hacked and asked for Bitcoin ransoms to unfreeze hotel business. They bought special insurance for months prior to the coverage, huge payouts, and pay for software specialists to reconfigure. I said the insurance company is probably in and out. Pretty much looks like it. How to buy Taurus AI for UK customers? Anyone? Yeah, so do that, C3. I'll put a step-by-step for you. Just comment outside the live on YouTube, inside the comment section. I'll just reply back to your comments with a step-by-step on how to do it. So for future reference, you know where to find any crypto project and where it's listed on essentially any exchange. Now, NASDAQ. The NASDAQ CEO is optimistic about the crypto space right now. And she says that because of Trump's administration, we should be expecting a lot more blockchain IPOs. So a lot more blockchain companies going public on the stock market, like Coinbase. So NASDAQ CEO is optimistic that President Trump's administration will offer a chance to relook regulations in the US to attract more companies to tap public markets. Speaking during the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, the NASDAQ CEO said they are excited to engage with Trump's administration to consider regulatory reforms. She added, she said, there is an opportunity to work with the administration of Trump to rethink some of the levels of regulations and requirements for public companies themselves and make sure that there is a balance between being a public company and a private company. Stock markets are happy with Trump's return, but are worried about his promise to introduce tariffs on America's biggest trading partners. They shouldn't be. She also wanted to say that she has been an excellent at running NASDAQ, one of the biggest stock exchange platforms in the US since 2017. She is optimistic about the year for new IPOs and the ones that have already taken place. However, she acknowledges regulatory obstacles that companies must overcome, including adhering to listing standards. US initial public offerings have yet to be stable, recovering from a period of high interest rates driven by the impacts of pre-pandemic essentially issues, and most IPO bankers have been preparing firms for an excellent debut year and are hoping essentially President Trump will stay out of the market's way. actually President Trump is the reason why the markets are actually, going to do better. So preferably you don't want Trump to stay out of the market's way. You just want Trump to boost the market space, which is what he's doing. A significant contribution, essentially a significant contribution from the CEO of the NASDAQ, her call for an outcome-oriented and progressive regulation. She states that the financial essentially sector needs and deserves effective, efficient regulations for the sector to perform better, and that input-oriented regulations can fail. The NASDAQ CEO has looked at regulations in detail and knows what essentially different regulations might do better inside the market space, and she believes that her research is for the basis for engaging in Trump's administration to secure reforms that will make the entire industry more productive. And elsewhere, the head of the New York Stock Exchange, Lynn Martin, said that the US IPO market is steadily opening up following Trump's re-election as the president of the United States. And the New York Stock Exchange, which is the NASDAQ's biggest essentially competitor, has seen most firms pursue public offerings under Trump's presidency. We should be expecting a lot more blockchain companies going IPO this year, next year, and beyond, because Gary Gensler is not in control anymore, and he's not going to be stifling anybody's IPO in any sort of a way. And the companies that we should be expecting to go IPO are Circle. Circle has said that they want to go IPO in the past, but the only reason that Circle didn't go IPO, which is USDC, and the only reason that they didn't go IPO is because they know for a fact that essentially Gary Gensler would stifle them in some sort of a way. So Circle is definitely going to go IPO because they're ready, and Gary Gensler is not there anymore to do anything wrong inside the market space. Ripple is also going to be going IPO but they'll most likely go IPO, obviously, when this case is dropped or settled, which we're going to talk about that a little bit later on tonight's live. But there's a lot of other companies. Blockworks wants to go IPO as well. There's a few Bitcoin mining companies inside the US that want to go IPO as well. There's a lot of blockchain companies that actually want to go public. They couldn't in the past, but they can now. Things have changed. And NASDAQ is ready. A perspective coming in from their CEO of NASDAQ at the World Economic Forum event right now. And her perspective came out today. So not only has Bank of America came out inside the World Economic Forum and essentially day before yesterday said the banking world is ready for the crypto space. And then we had Larry Fink, essentially JP Morgan, talking about the crypto space at the World Economic Forum. And then now we had the NASDAQ saying they're ready for the crypto space to go public. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening in progress. And it's all positive for the crypto space. There's a lot of things in progress. Banks are ready for the crypto space. The NASDAQ is ready for blockchain companies to go public. The SEC has created a crypto task force. There's a lot of positivity. But it just can't be seen because it's all happening very silently. Now, let's talk about another perspective on tonight's live, which is coming in from Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs' CEO has came out and said that, in his perspective, Bitcoin is not a threat to the US dollars. And I agree with him 1,000,000,000%, because Bitcoin is really not a threat to the US dollars, and that the US dollars is never going away. Some people might say, well, you're wrong. The US dollars is going to collapse and it's going to go away. It isn't, especially now. With a Trump presidency, the US dollars is going nowhere. It's staying where it is. And Goldman Sachs' CEO stating this is just pure facts, because Bitcoin is a store of value, not something that should be used for transactions, because it's slow and expensive. So, this is what he said. Goldman Sachs' CEO spoke at the World Economic Forum. As I said, everybody right now, CEOs, executive board members, prime ministers, presidents, they were all at the World Economic Forum. Trump is going to be doing a video call at the World Economic Forum. He can't be attending it because he probably has no time. He said he will do a video call. But every single powerful person right now, from the corporate sector or in terms of the government sector, is at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, in Davos. And this is the perspective that came out from Goldman Sachs' CEO at the World Economic Forum. He said he made essentially a huge statement that has sparked excitement among crypto enthusiasts. He shared his bank's official stance on Bitcoin in his latest interview. He said, I'm a big believer in the US dollars and that Bitcoin is an interesting speculative asset. I don't see Bitcoin as a threat to the US dollars. Goldman Sachs CEO, David Solomon, responded to a question about Donald Trump's proposed Bitcoin reserve strategy, stating that Bitcoin's unpredictable market behavior goes against Goldman Sachs's business approach. He also highlighted the company's resilience on the dominance of the US dollar. Although Goldman Sachs cannot directly own Bitcoin due to essentially current regulatory restrictions, it is actively exploring blockchain technology. However, a shift essentially in regulatory frameworks or policy essentially landscapes could provide the firm with opportunities to explore cryptocurrencies, he noted. While essentially he noted that at the end of the day, that he is a big USD believer, he also called Bitcoin an interesting speculative asset. Importantly, he shared that he essentially does not see Bitcoin as a threat to the US dollars. Besides, in a recent interview, BlackRock CEO has revealed that earlier on tonight's live, that BlackRock CEO sees Bitcoin as a massive essentially asset going to $700,000 and so on. But Trump's return to power is seen by many inside the crypto space as the start of a new era, with hopes for greater recognition of the decentralized cryptocurrency space, and many anticipate that he will announce an executive order on crypto early in his administration, along with the creation of a crypto advisory council and a national Bitcoin reserve. Now, the crypto essentially advisory council has already been created. A crypto task force for the SEC has already been created as well, and the FDIC is also coming out with rules and regulations as well. So all that is happening. The only thing that hasn't happened is a Bitcoin reserve, because we don't know if it's going to be a Bitcoin reserve. It's going to be a collective of American crypto reserves. But Goldman Sachs' opinion, their CEO's opinion at the World Economic Forum on Bitcoin, I agree with 100% in terms of Bitcoin is not a threat to the US dollars, because the US dollars is going nowhere. It's staying where it is. And if there is a time when we go fully digital, which is pretty much starting out this year, the US dollars is still going to be the #1 stable coin around the world. No doubt about it, because it still is. Even in the digital world, the #1 stable coin in the world is the US dollars. It's never going to be the Chinese yuan as the #1 stable coin, or the Russian ruble as the #1 stable coin. It's always going to be remaining the US dollars. No matter how much China pushes for #1 position as essentially a stable coin in the digital world, never going to happen. Especially now. Trump will never let that happen. And to be honest, nobody wants to be using the Chinese yuan as essentially a stable coin, to be fairly honest. Now, Crypto.com. Moving on, essentially from the Goldman Sachs essentially perspective. Crypto.com is launching a platform for US institutions, for US institutional investors, which is another indication, if you needed another one, where we're heading towards. The next clientele entering the crypto space is institutional investors, but they're all waiting for one thing to happen: regulations, which is coming in from the SEC as we're talking about it. There's also a big meeting that happened inside the SEC, which we're going to go through tonight's live. But right now, Crypto.com is showing another indication that they're getting ready for the institutional space, because that's what's entering the crypto space next. For the longest time, it was all about the retail section inside the crypto space. Now it's about the big money institutions. And here it is. Crypto.com launches a platform for US institutional investors. Crypto.com has introduced a new platform tailored for US institutional investors, and essentially the platform aims to expand the Singapore-based exchange's presence inside the United States by offering advanced tools designed for institutional trading. This platform essentially complements the existing Crypto.com app, which caters primarily to retail essentially traders in the region. And according to the co-founder and CEO Chris, the launch builds on the company's significant investments in technology and banking essentially infrastructure following the testings of an early exchange version of 2022. The platform provides institutional essentially investors access to over 300 cryptocurrencies and 480 essentially trading pairs, featuring advanced trading tools, deep liquidity, and robust infrastructure designed for high frequency and large trading volumes. Some of its key features include advanced order types, sub-account managements, and integrated trading bots such as DCA, Grid, and TWAP for a strategy automation service. And users can fund essentially their accounts via Fed wire transfers and withdraw in US dollars or USDC on a 1-to-1 ratio. Additionally, services include instant transfers, OTC options, and low latency API trading and customized client programs. Did you notice one thing? That Crypto.com is not going to be offering USDT to US institutions, which matches to what essentially Coinbase said yesterday. When Coinbase's CEO yesterday came out at the World Economic Forum and said that they are ready to essentially ban USDT from Coinbase, pretty much delist USDT from Coinbase for the US market space. And today, Crypto.com coming out with the news that, you know, their institutional platform is getting ready for the US, and that US institutions don't have access to USDT. They only have access to USDC. USDT is being pushed out and their days are numbered. And if the US, the biggest market space in the world, pushes out USDT, yeah, that's going to end very bad for them. Because first there was the EU. If the US is the next essentially market space to push out USDT and delist it, pretty much every other country will follow the US market space like a domino effect. And that's when USDT's days will definitely be numbered. Now, meanwhile, this announcement essentially coincides with the US Commodities Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, on their ongoing 90-day review of Crypto.com's sports futures essentially and contracts, which began on January 7, 2025. These contracts allow the exchange users to bet on major football games, including Super Bowl, raising concerns about potential violations of laws and governing betting contracts. Historically, the CFTC has opposed contracts tied to sports wars and non-financial public events. What they're referring to there is Crypto.com is trying to become an everything app. So not only are they launching an institutional platform for the US, but they're also launching into the betting essentially and the casino side and so on. Crypto.com is going to become a massive app. They're going to, you know, branch out from the crypto space to the stock market, to derivatives market space, to bettings, and have an institutional space just for American institutions to buy crypto assets. Crypto.com has notified the CFTC essentially, but delayed the submission, preventing a pre-launch review. A company spokesperson essentially criticized the timing and suggesting that the incoming CFTC leadership should handle such reviews to ensure fair market operations under the new administration. Obviously, we do have a new CFTC chairman coming in as well. Rostam Benham, the previous CFTC chairman, left the exact same time Gary Gensler left. And Crypto.com is just waiting for the new CFTC chairman to come in to pretty much give them a green light, which is basically what's going to be happening. But essentially, two indications from Crypto.com. One, the next clientele coming inside the crypto space is institutional clientele, and they're entering very slowly. But the bigger institutional clientele is waiting for the regulations that are coming in from the SEC, the new SEC, with the crypto task force and Hester Pierce being in control. And two, another indication that USDT is on the verge of being delisted from the American market space, because even Crypto.com, who is now releasing an institutional platform just for the US market space, is not giving US institutions access to USDT, only USDC. And obviously RLUSD when it starts branching out, because it's American, and USDT Tether is not American. They're actually funded by the Chinese, and you know what's been going on for the longest time. That Tether is heavily funded by Chinese investors, which the US is not really fond of. But yeah, pretty much another indication of USDT's future, which is very dimmed. Now, what we're going to be talking about next is moving on essentially from Crypto.com's new institutional platform to Coinbase. But before we go through the Coinbase news, let's go to the comment section first. As I said previously, essentially, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions you may have. And then we go after the comment section, we'll go straight to the next news, which is regarding Coinbase, but it's regarding their court battle with the SEC, which I'll be updating you on. But let's go to the comment section first. Remember, Gary Gensler is not there anymore. So let's just go to the comment section and we go straight to the next news. XDC is on the move tonight alone. Let's go XDC. XDC is moving, not H1XLF. Sometimes that happens. Miles, will it be safe staking crypto? For instance, I stake XDC, maybe small amount. Is that safe in the future? Yes, if you do want to stake your crypto assets, obviously it's safe, but depends on where you're essentially going to be storing your crypto assets for staking. You preferably want to stake to exchanges like Binance and Coinbase and Crypto.com because they're in Kraken and so on, because they're more established. You can obviously stake your crypto assets pretty much anywhere. You can, staking is a DeFi space, but not really recommended. Safer option would be Binance has the highest security, Coinbase has the highest security, so is Crypto.com. Not financial advice in any sort of a way. Thoughts on Bitmart Exchange? Bitmart Exchange is a genuine crypto exchange platform, has the correct licensing to operate within jurisdictions. It's a green light. Miles, by June, I think everything will be booming. By June, everything will be booming. I agree. Let's go. Hi, Miles and CMF. Golden Dragon, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? XDC is on fire. Let's go. Now, Coinbase. Coinbase is seeking their court ruling on SEC jurisdiction over crypto trades. Now, everybody knows the famous, battle between Ripple versus SEC, but there's also SEC versus Coinbase, SEC versus Kraken, SEC versus Crypto.com, and so on. Now, the battle between SEC versus Coinbase is all about securities. Same scenario of every other exchange and essentially Ripple. But Coinbase has filed in to pretty much get their case moving and get to a stage where it could just be dismissed. And that the SEC would have to say that, crypto assets are not securities, which is what Gary Gensler was fighting for every crypto is a security. But now that he's gone, there should be no other reason for everything to be held back. So here it is. As per the latest Bloomberg report, Coinbase has asked the Second Circuit to say, essentially, digital token trades on its platforms are not transactions governed under federal security laws. This is what Coinbase said. There is no more pressing issue in securities law today than the scope of the Securities and Exchange Commission's authority to regulate the secondary trades of digital assets. Coinbase said in its petition, essentially in the U.S. Court of Appeals for Second Circuits, the appeals court essentially could clear the way the cloud that has currently hangs over the cryptocurrency market space. It essentially noted, notably a decision by the Second Circuit stating that token trades on security and transactions could speed up the end of the SEC case against Coinbase and ease U.S. crypto regulations. The Trump administration has suggested it will offer more regulatory flexibility to crypto companies. The case gives the appeal courts a chance to weigh in on how it should apply the Howey test to crypto transactions. Coinbase argued that in its brief that the trades on its platforms are not investment contracts but asset sales. The U.S. District of Courts for the Southern Districts of New York granted Coinbase's request to seek an immediate essentially appeal earlier this month in the SEC enforcement suit when Gary Gensler was in charge. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Blockchain Association have also filed briefs supporting the Second Circuit's review of Coinbase's case. They highlighted the lack of clarity on whether crypto trades are investment contracts and could have a negative effects on federal courts remain essentially divided on this issue. Coinbase's CLO, the SEC, sued Coinbase essentially back in 2023, accusing the platform of operating as an unregistered securities exchange. Coinbase argues that the cryptocurrency trades aren't investment contracts and that thus not under SEC's jurisdiction. Coinbase's chief legal officer emphasized the need for legal clarity on this issue. Meanwhile, Trump's SEC has created a crypto task force to essentially develop a clear regulatory framework, and the U.S. Court of Appeals has ordered the SEC to explain the refusal to provide crypto-specific rules. Now, this was when Gary Gensler was essentially in power. Now things have changed with the crypto task force. What also has changed is this. I have what's been happening, essentially what's being talked about behind the scenes in the SEC. So if you didn't know, Mike is in charge as a temporary chairman for the SEC when Gary Gensler left. And Mike is pro-crypto, extremely pro-crypto. And Hester Peirce is in charge of the crypto task force that was created overnight by the approval of the Trump administration inside the SEC to create crypto regulations for the crypto space in general. And Hester Peirce is in charge of this, and she is pro-crypto, immensely pro-crypto. Now, the SEC has just had its first closed-door meeting. And this is what they've been discussing. So here it is. The US Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, is at a pivotal crossroads with its first closed-door meeting under acting chairman Mark, sparking significant speculation, scheduled to address litigation claims, administrative settlements, and enforcement actions. This session could signal potential shifts inside the SEC stance on cryptocurrency regulations. It's not potential, it's going to be a shift. Because the two people in charge right now of the SEC are both pro-crypto. So what makes this meeting, closed-door meeting that's going on right now inside the SEC, particularly noteworthy is the backdrop of the leadership change following Gary Gensler's departure. Also, as the Ripple lawsuit looms large over essentially the crypto industry, all eyes are on Mark, the new temporary chairman, acting chairman, and his team to see whether a new regulatory tone will emerge. So is Mark discussing right now as the acting chairman of the SEC, who's pro-crypto, to dismiss or settle Ripple's case and dismiss and settle other cases also, because the crypto task force from the SEC in control of Hester Peirce is coming out with regulations. So here it is. Things that are being discussed behind closed doors. What's on the agenda for the SEC meeting? One, what's on the agenda for the SEC meeting? Key discussion points. The SEC meeting, slated for essentially January 23rd, will essentially cover sensitive topics such as litigation resolution. Could include updates on high-profile cases like Ripple versus SEC, administrative settlements, potential adjustments to penalties for crypto entities, enforcement proceedings. Speculation surrounds whether the SEC might ease its aggressive crypto enforcement policies. Well, we know for a fact that the SEC is going to be easing everything that's in terms of enforcement actions on the crypto space, because one, the Trump administration said they're going to be doing that, and two, they're both pro-crypto. Mark is extremely pro-crypto as the acting chairman of the SEC right now, and Hester Peirce is also extremely pro-crypto. Hester Peirce attends crypto events and does speeches, and how she's so pro-crypto from day one, but she couldn't do anything because Gary Gensler was in charge. And now that he's left or resigned, she's in charge of the crypto task force, and he's in charge of the acting, essentially as an acting SEC chairman. And they're having a closed-door meeting, talking about cases, talking about their actions, and talking about their regulation policies and their settlements inside the crypto space. Today, essentially, the 23rd. Although the meeting is closed to the public, the Sunshine Act notice outlines these areas, raising questions about whether the session could mark a turning point for crypto regulations. This is the meeting that's going on today. For more context on the SEC's related crypto matters, essentially more content will be coming out essentially today from the SEC on what they talked about. Come out today, come out tomorrow on what they discussed behind closed doors. Now, two, new leadership and shifts in SEC policy. Mark, the pro-crypto stance. Mark is very pro-crypto. Mark, the SEC's acting chairman, who has replaced Gary Gensler for the time being, is known for his critical view of the agency's enforcement-heavy approach to cryptocurrencies. Mark has always been against Gary Gensler. Mark has always been pro-crypto. He's always hated the idea of Gary Gensler being chairman because he was so negative for the crypto space. Since joining the SEC in 2022, Mark has emphasized the need for clear and fair regulations, earning him support from industry stakeholders. The crypto task force under Hester Peirce that's been created, and Mark put Hester Peirce in control, in tandem with Mark's leadership, Commissioner Hester Peirce launched a new crypto task force, as I revealed yesterday, aimed at establishing a structured regulatory framework for digital assets. This initiative could provide much needed clarity for projects navigating regulatory uncertainty. For insights on how structured regulations can benefit the industry, explore the impact of regulatory changes on the crypto market space. A lot of things are happening behind closed doors right now with the SEC. 3. The Ripple lawsuit, a case to watch. Ripple versus SEC background. Ripple's legal battle with the SEC, whether XRP constitutes as a security, has become a test for the crypto regulation in the US. With the case now in the Second Circuit of Appeals, Ripple supporters hope Mark's leadership will encourage the SEC to reconsider its stance. The SEC is definitely going to be reconsidering its stance on Ripple's case. What could change? The meeting's focus on litigation claims has fueled speculation that the SEC might settle with Ripple or adopt a less advisory approach. However, former SEC officials caution against overhyping the potential outcomes of this meeting. Look, Mark is definitely going to be discussing some way or another to settle with Ripple, because Mark doesn't want to continue this battle with the SEC. With the SEC battling the crypto space, especially Ripple. So the SEC having a closed-door meeting, and one of the subjects of their closed-door meeting that's stated on paper is that they're talking about essentially settlements and litigation claims and so on, is about settlements. And the topic of, is Ripple being discussed by closed doors from the SEC? Hell yes. Ripple versus SEC is the biggest case with the SEC that it has. It's the biggest case inside the crypto space. And for an in-depth look at Ripple's legal journey, 4, industry reactions and implementations. Optimism among crypto stakeholders, the launch of a crypto task force, and Mark's leadership have generated optimism among blockchain advocates. Christian Smith, for example, CEO of Blockchain Association, praised the SEC for moving forward towards a transparency and collaboration. The Blockchain Association beforehand was suing the SEC because of Gary Gensler. Now, the Blockchain Association is praising Mark as the new acting chairman of the SEC. So you can tell how pro-crypto Mark is when a company that was suing the SEC because of Gary Gensler is now praising the SEC. A potential precedent for crypto regulations. Should the Ripple case resolve favorably, it could set a powerful precedent for future crypto regulations, influencing how the SEC addresses digital assets moving forward. For similar regulatory developments, 5, potential challenges and caution. Despite the optimism, several challenges remain. Regulatory uncertainty. It's unclear how long Mark will remain in his acting role. The future leadership could bring policy reversals. Incorrect. The future leaderships will not bring policy reversals, because the person that's going to be replacing Mark is Paul Atkins, and he's even more pro-crypto. Legal delays. Settling high-profile cases like Ripple could take months, if not. Wrong. If they do come to a settlement, it's not going to be taking months upon months. It's a settlement. Speculation risks. Industry hype often outpaces actual regulatory changes and leading to expectations. 6. What's next for the SEC and crypto? Short-term developments. The outcome of the January 23rd meeting today could offer clues about the SEC's direction on the Mark. Key areas to watch include enforcement actions, settlements, and updates on the Ripple lawsuit. Long-term impacts. If the SEC adopts a more collaborative approach, it could pave the way for a more clearer guidelines, fostering innovation in the US and crypto industries. And conclusion, the SEC's first closed-door meeting under acting chairman Mark represents a pivotal moment for the cryptocurrency regulations. With litigation claims and enforcement proceedings on the agenda, the industry is watching closely for signs from the new acting chairman, Mark. And while optimism abounds, stakeholders should remain cautious about essentially the meeting's potential outcomes. Regardless, this session marks a step towards addressing long-standing regulatory challenges in the crypto space. You know what I love the most? That the SEC didn't wait a week or a month to start, tiptoeing inside the crypto space. They started straight away. The moment Gary Gensler left, Mark acting chairman, Hester Pierce in charge essentially of the crypto task force. A day later, they created a private meeting to talk about everything that the SEC has done that is wrong inside the crypto space. They're moving incredibly fast pace right now. Incredible fast pace. They didn't wait a week or a month to tiptoe into this. They went straight into it. Created a crypto task force to bring out the regulations, and then did a closed door meeting today, which is going on pretty much right now. They did essentially a closed door meeting today, talking about, on the matters of litigations and the SEC proceedings and so far, what the SEC has done wrong and what we can do that should be the correct movements moving forward. So on the topic of, is the Ripple case going to be dismissed or settled? Well, 1 billion% yes. Now, on the topic of XRP, CME. The CME website is hinting of an XRP ETF. The Chicago Exchange, essentially, CME website hinted at the introduction of an XRP ETF of future contracts that could debut as early as February, pending regulatory essential reviews. Now, they're also saying a Solana ETF is coming on the CME as well, but an XRP ETF is about to be debuted, according to the Chicago Exchange, February 10th, by the way. According to the website, which later essentially removed the page suddenly, contracts for both assets will be available in standard and micro size, with the standard SOL contract having essentially 500 SOL, a lot size, and a macro essentially contract accounting for 25 SOL. The standard size for XRP futures contracts will feature lot sizes of 50,000 XRP, with the micro essentially futures contracts featuring a 2,500 XRP lot. All contracts for XRP and SOL will be settled in US dollars. Obviously, Chicago Exchange. Applications for crypto exchange traded funds, ETFs, and futures products have surged following the re-election of President Donald Trump in the United States and the resignation of Gary Gensler as a chairman of the Securities Exchange Commission. Financial essentially firms have filed a flurry of essentially applications for crypto investments and vehicles in anticipation of Gary Gensler's final days ahead of the SEC and expectations of a friendly regulatory climate. There has been a lot of ETF applications a day after Gary Gensler left. And the asset manager Van Eck also applied for its on-chain economy ETF as well. The fund would essentially invest in digital transformation companies and so on. If you didn't know, Van Eck essentially applied for a special type of ETF, which has never been done. So Van Eck has created an on-chain economy ETF where basically they're investing into crypto companies and people can invest into their ETF instead. So instead of creating a Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP ETF or XLM ETF, Van Eck just created a ETF fund that's going to be investing into blockchain companies, and people from Wall Street can invest into that ETF when they're investing into other blockchain companies, which is another indication of the corporate sector essentially opening up to the crypto space when they're creating an ETF just for investing inside the blockchain sector. And also essentially, according to the asset manager, digital transformation companies, including software developers, mining companies, crypto exchanges, infrastructure builders, and payment firms, essentially what Van Eck is aiming for, payment firms. We all know which payment firms they're aiming for. Financial services company and ETF issuers ProShares also filed for ETFs as well. And ETF analyst specialist James from Bloomberg. And Bloomberg is basically like gospel for Wall Street. Said that the applications were interesting given the current lack of essentially, futures ETFs that's lacking from the crypto space, especially Solana, XRP, and so on. And asset manager Wisdom Tree obviously applied for that XRP ETF back in December 2024, marking it essentially the fourth firm to submit such an application for XRP. And other firms that have filed for XRP ETFs include Bitwise, 21 Shares, Carrying Capital, the list goes on. And Wisdom Tree's obviously proposed ETF would help initially settle in US dollars as well, and so on. Now, what I'm essentially mostly interested about is the CME, the Chicago Merchants Exchange showing that XRP is going to be listed. Now, they took the page down from their website, but the page was there, and it showed XRP and Solana essentially being listed as an ETF by February 10th is what their estimate was. And we have a closed door meeting with the SEC today with two pro crypto essentially officials who are in charge of the SEC. Did you ever think to yourself you will see a day where the SEC is in control of two pro crypto essentially members? We went from the SEC being absolutely against essentially the crypto space to now two pro crypto SEC members in charge of the SEC, Mark and Hester Pierce. And they're having a closed door meeting. And then with the Chicago Exchange listing XRP as an ETF by February 10th. Now, also on the topic of XRP, billionaire asset manager now says XRP could be the base for banking. Billionaire asset manager now says XRP could be the base for banking on a nationwide scale, sparking interest within the community. Mark Yoshio, CEO of Morgan Creek Capital Management, has shared intriguing thoughts on the potential influence of XRP in shaping the future of cryptocurrency policies in the United States. His remarks have sparked significant interest within the crypto community, especially regarding the role of XRP might play under a new administration. Mark pointed out that discussions are intensifying essentially about the possibilities of what Donald Trump is bringing to the table with the new SEC and so on. And currently, essentially, the market space being dominated by the idea of a Bitcoin reserve. And these reserves, in Mark's words, could include a XRP and Cardano and Hedera reserve as well. That the United States is not only going to be having a Bitcoin reserve, according to this billionaire asset manager, but they're also going to be having an XRP, Cardano, Hedera as well. He emphasized that the founders of these cryptocurrencies are actively building relationships with Trump's family. And also, while Bitcoin is essentially often dubbed as the digital gold, he believes that other cryptocurrencies, including XRP, can fulfill different roles within a comprehensive financial landscape. Now, Mark has talked about XRP in the past, last year in other words, regarding how XRP could be used by the United States government and how this whole Bitcoin reserve can include XRP. But this is his recent comments as well. Now, he stated that there is some talks of XRP that could be essentially utilized or even mandated as a base layer for central bank, essentially digital currencies, CBDCs, for the national banking infrastructure. Now, obviously, 98% of centralized banks are in CBDCs right now, and obviously there's only one crypto project with an active CBDC platform, has multiple CBDC awards, that's XRP. This exhortation also highlights the potential for XRP to play a critical role in the future of US's monetary policy. A report that suggested that the President Trump is complementing his executive order to establish a national reserve of digital assets focused on cryptocurrencies developed within the US. It noted that Trump is open to this idea, which essentially aims to bolster America's position in the global crypto economy by prioritizing domestic blockchain innovations. Supporters are essentially argue that this initiative could enhance US's competitiveness in the crypto space, while essentially critics warn that it may undermine Bitcoin's establishment in terms of global dominance. So the people who are against the idea of the US creating a crypto portfolio are obviously Bitcoin maxis, because they, Bitcoin maxis sleep, eat, breathe Bitcoin. That's all they see. While the rest of the world who have brain cells can see that Bitcoin can't do everything and it needs help. Trump also has been engaging with the founders and companies also essentially associated with these US developed cryptocurrencies, likely to advance this proposal. Ripple has gained notable attention in this context as well, particularly due to his ongoing dialogues with the key figures from the Trump administration. This includes a recent meeting between, obviously Ripple, essentially CEO, and the Vice President JD Vance, in other words, highlighting the firm's active role in shaping potential policy shifts. And also, Mark expressed uncertainty about whether these developments would materialize in the first 100 days of his new administration. However, he underscored that utilizing XRP for CBDCs or as a core component of national banking infrastructures could significantly alter the landscape of cryptocurrency markets. And if that does happen, it changes things. And he remarked, hinting at the profound implications, such as a move that could have the industry on. Now, you've also might have heard the news, which Shelley just pointed out as well, that Trump has said that he's against, Trump and Trump's administration is against the idea of a CBDC. Does that mean that the US will never create a CBDC? No. Look, the plans that this world has going on, from the World Economic Forum, the International Monetary Fund, the people behind them, CBDCs are going to happen, and not a single president or prime minister or politician is going to be able to stop CBDCs in any sort of a way. Also, CBDCs names sometimes change to become more appealing. I'll give you an example. For example, Brazil, instead of creating, what I'm trying to say is that they are going to be, by the way, on the news, on the whole Trump administration banning CBDCs, they said that they're banning CBDCs, but they're open to the idea of private stablecoins. It's the private stablecoins are basically CBDCs. So they're changing the name to make it more appealing. I'll give you an example. Brazil stopped calling their CBDCs and called it DREX to make it more appealing. Obviously, they're referring, each letter refers to a different word, but they're trying to make it more appealing. I'll give you another example. Bahrain. The Central Bank of Bahrain did a massive banking event last year. And all these banking governors attended this in Bahrain from around the world. And the Bahrain essentially, the man is essentially in charge of Bahrain's banking committees and so on, went on stage and said, we need to stop calling CBDCs CBDCs. We need to stop calling them, central bank digital currencies. Why do we call this new digital government money CBDCs? Why don't we just call it money? Why are we putting this emphasis on this new title? It's just money. Let's just start calling CBDCs money. They're trying to make it more appealing because the words CBDCs scares the hell out of some people, or a lot of people, and so on. Even if you're new to the crypto space, CBDC scares the hell out of people because everything you hear about CBDCs is bad. And in reality, it is. It's a controllable asset. But they're trying to give it a new image. And what I'm trying to say is the Trump administration technically said they're against the idea of CBDCs, but they're open to the idea of private stablecoins. And on one side, you have Bahrain's governor telling other bank governors, why do we call it CBDCs? Let's just call it money. Brazil's calling it DREX. Other countries are naming CBDCs in different words. They're just changing the name. The US will also have CBDCs. No country is going to be able to escape this CBDC world. Every central bank is going to be releasing a CBDC no matter what. Not a president or a prime minister or a politician is going to be able to stop CBDCs. No one is. But the name can be changed. Private stablecoins. And as you all know, 24,000 crypto projects and only one has an active CBDC platform and has won multiple CBDC awards. That's Ripple, that's XRP. And 98% of centralized banks own CBDCs, according to the Atlantic report and also according to the Bank of International Settlements. Now, the biggest thing to take away from all of this is, yes, the CBDC said, but the SEC having a closed-door meeting today, talking about what their next step is going to be inside the crypto space, talking about the cases they have going on. And again, I love that the SEC didn't wait a month, essentially. I honestly, I love that the SEC didn't wait a month to, come to a closed-door meeting and so on, and tiptoe into this. Straight, Gary Gensler leaves. Next day, Mark, acting chairman, Hester Pierce in control of a crypto task force that just created overnight to bring out the regulations, and a straightaway closed-door meeting to talk about all the wrong movements inside the SEC and to become pro-crypto. And they're talking about today about all of their cases that they have going on, and essentially bringing out the regulations, what they essentially did wrong, what can they correct moving forward, and so on. So I love that because we know for a fact that Mark is going to be coming to some sort of a solution to dismiss or settle the Ripple case, because Marcus pro-crypto, and so is Hester Pierce. And the Trump administration is also pro-crypto. And the FDIC, who was also stifling banks, is now pro-crypto as well by bringing banking regulations. So on one side, you have the SEC moving things ahead very fast and getting prepared for a digital world or digital America. On the other side, you have the FDIC, who was also anti-crypto, who's now pro-crypto and trying to get banks involved inside the crypto space. On the other side, you have Bank of America's CEO coming out from the World Economic Forum and saying that banks are ready for the crypto space, for the financial department to enter. A lot of things are in progress right now. A lot of things are in progress. And it might not seem like it is because the crypto market is moving sluggish. Trump hasn't mentioned crypto in his day one. But if you really pay attention, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes. The wheels are turning behind the scenes, one by one, and they're moving at an incredibly fast pace. So, on that note, if you are holding XRP, you have an amazing future ahead of yourselves. Also, if you're holding XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, ADA, and so on, you have an amazing future ahead of yourself. And on that note, we have reached the endings of tonight's live. And this was episode 247 of the CMF Live. Episode 247 we're on right now, which is incredible that we're on episode 247. And if you're watching this for the first time ever and you're wondering to yourself, what the hell is this and who am I? This is the CMF Live. It stands for Crypto Miles Family. And my name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles, and I'm the host of this live. And this live airs Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time, where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations. So vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space. And you can tune in for episode 248 tomorrow. And obviously, let's go to that comment section first before we do go. I always read everybody's comments one by one. I never leave anyone out. And I always say this is live as well. So if you have any comments, go inside the comment section right now and put your comments down. So let's just go inside the comment section. Then we go straight to ending this live, essentially. XDC up, let's go. With our profits. Let's go. Miles, so it's best to avoid USDT when selling cryptocurrencies now. Slowly, yes. I was doing that on eToro, and it was really convenient without having to cash out and then send money on a different exchange. Fair enough. Gary, should I ask Biden for a pardon? Lol. I heard Biden pardoned his dog and his sixth grade teacher. Biden, came out and obviously said he's never pardoning anyone. And then he pardoned his entire family generation at the end. The funny part is the liberals who were supporting Joe Biden for the longest time, who also came out and said that, prices aren't too high, was the funny part. All these liberals coming out and saying Joe Biden was doing an excellent job. I'm being sarcastic here. They were being genuine, coming out and saying Joe Biden was doing an excellent job. Egg prices not too high, house prices not too high. Everybody can afford gas and fuels, all those, things, essentials. It's not too high, is what the liberals were saying in a Biden presidency. Now that Trump has come into power, the liberals are all creating videos and saying, eggs are still high, gas prices are still high, fuel prices are high, this is high, that is high. First of all, it's been 1 day since Trump has come into power. Second of all, what happened to all the liberals beforehand, which was saying eggs are not high, house prices not high, fuel prices not high? Who's saying they're high? Before, that's what the liberals were saying. Now they're all coming out and going, this price is still high, that price is high, this price is still high. What happened to Trump fixing everything? One, it's been day. First of all, it's only been 1 day. Second of all, I thought the prices weren't too high. What happened to that speech from the liberals? Honestly, we are so lucky that Trump won. We are extremely lucky that Trump won. I was wondering essentially that, because these liberals are very delusional people. They definitely live in la la land. I heard, but yeah, Biden, claiming that he wasn't going to pardon anyone. He pardoned his entire family bloodline. Miles, if Ripple already won their case plus paid a fine, why would they settle and pay another fine just to be done with it over? Pretty much, yes. But they have won, but there's an appeal going on. So if the appeal gets dropped, then a settlement, in other words. They haven't paid. Trump is saying no to CBDCs. Can you explain how this might play out? That's so I basically said that regarding CBDCs. They're just changing the names. I just gave BTC a new acronym. Better to concede it to the XRP army. Let's go, Abby Pisces. Great job tonight, Miles. As always, keep representing the CMF the way you do. Let's go, Scott. Share the live. Let's go. CBDCs need to own CBDCs needs essentially its own pronouns. Pretty much, CBDCs are getting pronouns now to become more appealing. Control coin, pretty much. Let's go, Ian. Thanks, legend. Night and day CMF. Shelly, let's go. See you tomorrow, sometime as usual. 24/7. Congratulations. Episode 247. Congratulations, Miles. I'm an OG. I've been here for the ride. Let's go, Scott. See you tomorrow, but the same time as usual. Thanks, Miles. Great live as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Jason, see you tomorrow, but the same time as usual as well. Thanks, Miles, and good night to you and CMF. Stormy, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. No, Miles, you can't stop now. Long. Thanks for all you do for our family group. Let's go, Scott. See you tomorrow, same time as usual, brother. Night, Miles. Pablo, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Outstanding live, Miles. Leave like and leave a comment and share the love. Let's go, CMF. Let's go, Ray. Thanks so much for the kind words, brother. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Thanks, Miles. Have a great night. See you tomorrow, same time. Artistic, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. Good night, Miles and family. Great live. Many thanks. See you tomorrow. Ian, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Thanks, Miles. Good live. Good night, CMF. See you tomorrow. Orphan, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Biden's not Trump's pardons are setting all with him. Both let them criminals out of jail. True, I agree. Good night, Miles and CMF. Good night, Miles and all of the CMF. Thank you for the great live and all the news. JP, see you tomorrow, same time as usual. He even pardoned, he even pardoned the guy that spread the whole COVID situation. Love and respect, Miles. Let's go, Scott. Scott, see you tomorrow by the same time as usual. Miles the GOAT. Thank you, Scott, for the kind words. Good night, Miles. Callie, see you tomorrow, same time as usual as well. Thanks again, Miles. Have a good night, CMF. Let's go Spurner. See you tomorrow, same time as usual. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. Good night, Mike. See you tomorrow, brother. Same time as usual. I will be seeing everybody tomorrow. Same timing as usual, 11:25 p.m. UK time. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual. CMF, see you tomorrow, same time as usual.